guys, here we are, we're back. This is video number 2 for logarithmics, and here we are again. We are in video number 2. Here we go. Okay, so now we were talking about what a logarithmic function was. We went back here in this blue highlighted. This is a logarithmic function. It is a question of what exponent. That's what the rhythmic function does. It tells you. It asks the question, what exponent turns my base into this number? And so there are 2 special bases that we use in logarithm. We have a base 10. This is called common log. And log base 10 is generally written without the base number. And so that's really important to know that when you see a log and there's no number right here, the default is 10. So if there's no number, that means it's a 10. That's log base 10, okay? And then the other one is log, it's called the natural log, and it is log base E. It's written with just an L and an N. So when you see LN, okay, and there's no number and it's a 2-letter word, this actually means log base E. And we talked about what E was. That's that 2.71828 number. So this is called common log. This is called natural log. And these are the only 2 that you will see on your calculators, or for most of your calculators. Depends on how the calculators work. But these are the most common ones that we use, the common log and the natural log. And so they don't have a base number on them. But in this class, you have to know your base number for every L word that you see. So I'm going to rewrite every one of these as a log base 10. And I'm going to rewrite every one of these as a log base E. Now, it's also very important for you to understand that the handwriting in this is going to be extremely important. You may need to write everything bigger so that your base number, which is down here, this number, your base number is small and low. It is in a subscript position, and that is where it needs to be. And so if you have to write everything bigger in order to get that, then you will. So now I got to focus on the next one, which is the graphing. Okay, and so notice we're going to graph log base 2 of x, and we've already talked about this. We've already done this. This is the exponential. Let's don't look at that for right now. I'm going to cover that up. I want you looking at that. Okay. All right. And so we're just going to do the log base 2 of x. And now since 2 is your base number, you're going to want to plug in powers of 2. Although the domain says that you can plug in anything as long as it's positive. You can plug in anything as long as it's positive. But we're only going to plug in powers of 2. So now this is really, really small. I didn't give myself enough room, so I'm going to get my pen small. Try to get my pens in there. And I'm going to start with the biggest one. I'm going to start with 8. Okay? And so this is saying log base 2 of 8. All right, that is asking me the question, what exponent turns 2 into 8? And so we talked about that on the last one, and that's 3. 3 is the exponent that turns 2 into 8. And so on my point on the graph is going to be 8, 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3. So there's that point right there, 8, 3. All right, so now I'm going to go to 4. So again, this is what exponent turns 2, that's the function, into 4. So the answer would, of course, be 2. And so that gives me the function 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2. I'm sorry, the point for 2. And then it says log base 2 of 2. Now this one's really important. We'll see it in a little while. But this is saying what exponent turns 2 into 2? Well, that's going to be 1. So 2, 1. Right? So what exponent turns 2 into 2? Well, that would have to be 1. And the next one is what exponent turns 2 into 1? And this one's even more complicated. Sorry, got my answer in there. Shouldn't have done that. What exponent turns 2 into 1? Well, that would be 0. Remember, anything to the 0 power, and you're like, oh, I don't know, this is freaking me out. I can't do this. Hold on. 2 to the 0 is equal to 1. So what exponent, 2 to the what, is going to give me 1? That's what it's asking me. 2 to the what gives me 1. What exponent turns 2 into 1? Okay, and the answer is 0. So that's what I did. So it's really, really awkward. So then I have the point 1, 0. Stop and think about this for a few minutes if you have to. So I have the point 1, 0. Right now, this is where it gets tricky. What exponent turns 2 into 1/2? Okay, so now let's go back over here and look at this. What exponent turns 2 into 1/2? Think about this for a minute. Well, when we did our exponent rules, we know that when we flip it, it's a negative. And so it would be a -1. That's going to give me a -1. Now, I didn't say we could plug in. I didn't say we couldn't get a negative answer, so we couldn't plug in 1. So when I take 1/2, I'm going to get a -1. So there's that point right there. All right, the next one. What exponent turns 2 into 1/4? Okay. So now this is the question we're asking. What exponent turns 2 into 1/4? And again, we know it's got to be negative because there's a flip going on. And so it's going to be -2. So that's the number that turns 2. Yeah, I know. So 1/4 is going to give me a -2, which is way down there. And then, like I said, the last one, log base 2 of 1/8, you're following this pattern. What exponent turns 2 into 1/8? Well, again, it has to be a negative, and it's actually -3. And so 1/8 -3 is right here. So we've got this graph just like I showed you a minute ago. And it's got that asymptote there. This is tricky, so just be glad you don't have to do a bunch of these because I'm not going to give you a bunch of these. But it's getting used to this is very awkward. So rewatch it, think about it, pause on this one.